All right, Mike Murray here, and I'm here with Michael Warnken. How are you doing today, Michael?
I'm doing pretty good.
Well, thank you for talking to me. We're going to talk about what you saw today at the courthouse and your
Okay.
impressions of the whole thing. So, can we start with just the atmosphere that you saw and the people and the crowds and
Well, I forget what the date of our last hearing was, um, but we had a lot of Jeffersonians show up, and we were really concerned about this hearing because the judge last week vacated the hearing for Friday and did what they call advanced it and moved to Thursday, and it is important. It is important to, when you have a case to have, the party who's really interested in the outcome to really show up. And, our first hearing, they filled the courtroom, and I have to guess there was probably 30, 40 people who weren't able to get in. This time there were more people that couldn't get in. We had more people show up for this hearing, so they were really excited. Mark and Terry did a really good job, and Wing did an excellent job of making sure everybody came to this hearing. People have to drive, at least 3 and as many as 5 hours to come to this hearing. So to fill in, I think there's 58 seats in the courtroom to fill it, and then have another 50 people outside. They had to get the base really excited for that.
where exactly did you come from today?
I came in from. I was just staying with my parents in Dixon.
Okay.
Yeah, I drove up last week. I lived down in Santa Barbara.
Okay. So did you make it into the courtroom then?
Oh yeah. Well, no, I'm the legal assistant, so I sat next to
Oh,
the attorneys.
okay, that sounds good. I just wanted to make sure they didn't lock the door on you too. Can you tell us about what was happening inside the courtroom? I know you can't give all the specifics, but just the overall gist of everything.
Well, I can give specifics. There's an important U.S. Supreme Court case. It's called Craig versus Harney, and it says specifically the U.S. Supreme Court held that what goes on in a courtroom is property of the public. So I believe it's important to say what happened, and specifically what happened. So, what our hearing was about was these cases are important. Congress has written a statute, 28 U.S.C. 2284, and it basically says anytime you're challenging the apportionment of a state legislature, or if you're challenging the apportionment of the congressional delegation to a state legislature, one federal judge cannot handle the case. You have to have 3 federal judges. And the first judge really has a decision. Either they throw out the case or they form a 3-judge panel. And I'm pretty sure there's a U.S. Supreme Court case called McManus versus Shapiro. And maybe I got that backwards. But anyway, the U.S. Supreme Court basically says the language is shall. And really, the first judge can only make a finding against forming a 3-judge panel if they believe the case, one, is frivolous, or there's a U.S. Supreme Court case that has already dealt with it, and therefore, which more or less would make it frivolous. Our opposing attorney, his name is George Waters. He did not have a case. He admitted it. There is no case like this where they found that what we're doing is frivolous. So, that's basically, and then the other aspect is she got to the merits, which our attorneys, Scott Staffney and Gary Zerman, basically made the argument that, she can't reach the merits by herself. She basically made a motion to dismiss. The opposition basically argued that is what is called as a general grievance. And there are certain times in which everybody is effectively damaged by something. So what the Supreme Court says is it's almost like it's general harm, so therefore no foul, and there's no way you could remedy it because you just can't do it. Basically, the gist of the case is this. In 1850, California became a state. And we had 16 senators and 36 assemblymen, and there were basically 92,000 people in the state, or thereabouts. As the population grew, they increased the number of reps till 1862, when they froze the Senate at 40 and the Assembly at 80. There were about 400,000 people. So each senator had about 10,000 people, and each assemblyman had about 5,000. Well, the last figure I saw from the U.S. Census having to do with California, we now have 39,776,000, and I think it's even higher than that now. In fact, the figure I saw was that somewhere in mid-July, we would have 40 million. And at 40 million, that means each senator has 1 million people and each assemblyman has 500,000. George Washington said 30,000 was representation. He said 40,000 was inadequate to represent the interests of the people. We have senators at 1 million and assemblymen at 500,000.
You see the lack of representation throughout the North State for sure, especially with those numbers.
Yes.
I know we don't have much more time here to talk. We got about 2 minutes, but what do you see going forward with this case? What's the next step? What are we waiting on?
Well, what we're waiting on is basically the judge just taking all this information into submission. So we filed paperwork. The attorneys wrote up motions and counter arguments and so forth. The opposition, he didn't put much in. I mean, if you looked at it, I mean, it's about 3 pages of paper. It's not a lot. And we've got lots of facts and but what he's just resting on is general agreements. He said, we're all harmed, we're all screwed, and therefore, nothing. And so what's happening is the judge, she has to take all this together and she's going to make a ruling. And it's pretty clear to me she indicated that she's not going to be ruling for us. She didn't say that, and obviously, she's holding out hope. But my assumption is that she's going to rule against us. And to a certain extent, it almost seems like she can't. And it almost seems like she's afraid to. And I hate to say what I'm implying by that, but I mean, as long as this is, I guess, a quasi-free country, I'll say, seems like there might be some undue influence, but maybe there's not. Maybe she just, believes honestly that we haven't made our case, but I think we have. If she rules for us, then she's supposed to form a 3-judge panel. I don't think she was accurate on her authorities. In fact, she was not accurate on the authorities. And then the next thing is, if we lose, then we have to go to the Ninth Circuit, either through an appeal or possibly a writ of prohibition or a writ of mandamus. And then we climb the ladder from there. And I don't know. And Ninth Circuit might be hostile to us. They might be friendly. It's hard to say. But I mean, there are times in which, guess what? You fight a court case, and the first judge you had, isn't going to be in your corner. And sometimes you have to go up. There's a time in which you have a problem with something. You call the company, and they won't help you. And you say, "Can I talk to your manager?" Right? Well, and the manager comes, and then you say, "Can I talk to your manager?" Because that's what the process is like.
Well, Michael, thank you so much for talking to me tonight. And we look forward to getting this interview out on the radio on Sunday. Thank you again.